Krishna. Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sri Sri Radhakala Shanji daily morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. So nice to be back. Been traveling for, well, not traveling, but anyways, been gone for 10, 11 days, and it's so nice to see all of you. Really is a blessing. I thank the pujaris for opening the curtain at 7 o'clock. It was like, I feel like, such a long kirtan. It was really nice. And then starting Srimad Bhagavatam quite early, actually. We get to speak a little bit about more Srimad Bhagavatam. But first we'll sing Jai Radha Madhava. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Chanavallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Chanavallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Chanavallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabiyari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Kalashanji Shri Radhe Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Radha Madhava ki jai. Shri Radha Kalashanji ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devyam Sarasvatam Vilyasyam Tato Jayam Yudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer the respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to author Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayasa abreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttamasloke bhaktir bhavati naistaki. By regular attendance in class on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublance to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and the loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental song, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gantimarandasya Ganandana Salakaya Shakshuran Medityam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Jai. Wow. How fortunate are we? So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5. We'll go through texts 35 through 42, and then we're going to focus on 37. Chapters titled The Cause of All Cause. Would somebody like to start by reading text 35, please?
The Lord Mahavishnu, although lying in the causal ocean, came out of it, and dividing himself as Hiranyagarbha, he entered into each universe and assumed the Virat Rupa with thousands of legs, arms, mouths, heads, etc.
36. Oh, we've got some technical difficulties.
Next. Great philosophers imagine that the complete planetary systems in the universe are displays of the different upper and lower limbs of the universal body of the Lord.
The Brahmanas represent his mouth, the Kshatriyas his arms, the Vaishyas his thighs, and the Shudras born of his legs.
The lower planetary systems, up to the limit of the earthly stratum, are said to be situated in his legs. The middle planetary system, beginning from Bhuvarloka, are situated in his navel. And the still higher planetary system occupied by the demigods are highly cultured sages and saints, are situated in the chest of the Supreme Lord.
From the forefront of the chest up to the neck of the universal form of the Lord are situated the planetary system named Janaloka and Tapaloka, whereas Satyaloka, the topmost planetary system, is situated on the head of the form. The spiritual planets, however, are eternal.
My dear son Narada, know from me that there are 7 lower planetary systems out of the total 14. The first planetary system, known as Atala, is situated on the waist. The second, Vitala, is situated on the thighs. The third, Sutala, on the knees. The fourth, Tala, on the shanks. The fifth, Mahatala, on the ankles. The sixth, Rasatala, on the upper portion of the feet. And the seventh, Patala, on the soles of the feet. Thus the Virat form of the Lord is full of all planetary systems.
Others may divide the whole planetary system into three divisions, namely the lower planetary systems on the legs up to the earth, the middle planetary systems on the navel, and the upper planetary systems, Svargaloka, from the chest to the head of the Supreme Personality.
Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the second canto, 5th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled The Cause of All Causes. So Lord Brahma here is speaking about the Virat Rupa. In chapter 1, we also had some lessons on the Virat Rupa, or the universal form of the Lord. And there, though, Sukadeva Goswami is speaking more about seeing Krishna in his Virat Rupa on the earthly planet. Not just the earthly planet, because he talks about the sun, right, being his eyes, and the moon and the sun being his eyes, and the trees being the hairs on his body. So in Canto 2 here, we start getting a lot of Srimad Bhagavatam, the understanding in Srimad Bhagavatam of that all energy is coming from Krishna. Canto 1, we're kind of wrapping up Bhagavad Gita, right? Some stuff happened in Bhagavad Gita or Mahabharata, and so it's saying, why is Krishna left? Why are we speaking this Srimad Bhagavatam? What's going on? And then Canto 2, we start to speak Srimad Bhagavatam. It said that Srimad Bhagavatam starts in Canto 2. And so it said that Srimad Bhagavatam can take a person from whatever their understanding is all the way to the very top by going through the Srimad Bhagavatam in a systematic way, starting from the first canto, going to the second canto, on and on and on. And also, Srimad Bhagavatam is also described as an incarnation of Krishna, meaning that the first two cantos are his feet, and then it goes up to the third and fourth, gradually up Krishna's body, up to his face in Canto 10. But this Canto 2, my point being is that we're really seeing Sukadeva Goswami speaking Srimad Bhagavatam, speaking about the Virat Rupa, the Brahman effulgence, that all energies are coming from Krishna, and Krishna in the heart. So we'll go to text 37, and 37 will be the verse that we will do the Sanskrit, and then the translation and the purport. Okay. Purusha Mukha Brahma. Purushasya Mukham Brahma. Satram Yatsya Bhavayaha. Satram Yatsya Bhavaha. Urvor Vasyo Bhagavatya. Urvor Vasyo Bhagavatya. Bhadyam Sudro Vijay. Pudyam Sudro Vijayataha. Padbayam Sudro Vajayataha. Purushasya Mukhyam Brahma. Shatram Mityasya Bhavaha. Yurvor Vaishyo Bhagavatya. Bhagavata. Padyabayam Sudra Vajayataha. Please, somebody chant. Purusha Mukhyam Brahma. Shatram Yatya Bhavava. Urvor Vaishyo Bhagavataha. Paduyam Sudra Vajayataha. Purushasya mukham brahma Shatram yatya pahavaha Urvo vasyo bhagavataha. Anybody else? Purushasya mukham brahma Satram vatasya bhavaha Urvo vaishyo bhagavataha Padvyayam sudro vajayata Purushasya mukham brahma Satramatya bhavaha Urvo vaishyo bhagavataha Pudyam sudro vajayata. The Brahmins represent his mouth, the Kshatriyas his arms, the Vaishya his thighs, and the Sudras are born of his legs. Please repeat. The Brahmins represent his mouth, the Kshatriyas his arms, the Vaishyas his thighs, and the Sudras are born of his legs. Would somebody like to read the purport, please?
All living beings are stated to be the parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, and how they are so is explained in this verse. The four divisions of human society, namely the intelligent class, the Brahmanas, the administrative class, the Kshatriyas, the mercantile class, the Vaishyas, and the laborer class, the Shudras, are all in different parts of the body of the Lord. As such, no one is different from the Lord. The mouth of the body and the legs of the body are non-different constitutionally. But the mouth or the head of the body is qualitatively more important than the legs. At the same time, the mouth, the legs, the arms, and the thighs are all component parts of the body. These limbs of the body of the Lord are meant to serve the complete whole. The mouth is meant for speaking and eating, the arms are meant for the protection of the body, the legs are meant for carrying the body, and the waist of the body is meant for maintaining the body. The intelligent class in society, therefore, must speak on behalf of the body, as well as accept foodstuff to satisfy the hunger of the body. The hunger of the Lord is to accept the fruits of sacrifice. The Brahmanas, or the intelligent class, must be very expert in performing such sacrifices, and the subordinate classes must join in such sacrifices. To speak for the Supreme Lord means to glorify the Lord by means of propagating the knowledge of the Lord as it is, broadcasting the factual nature of the Lord and the factual position of all other parts of the whole body. The Brahmanas, therefore, are required to know the Vedas, or the ultimate source of knowledge. Veda means knowledge, and Anta means the end of it. According to Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is the source of everything, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava. And thus the end of all knowledge, Vedanta, is to know the Lord, to know our relationship with Him, and to act according to that relationship only. The parts of the body are related to the body. Similarly, the living being must know his relationship with the Lord. The human life is especially meant for this purpose, namely to know the factual relationship of every living being with the Supreme Lord. Without knowing this relationship, the human life is spoiled. The intelligent class of men, the Brahmanas, are therefore especially responsible for broadcasting this knowledge of our relationship with the Lord and leading the general mass of people to the right path. The administrative class is meant for protecting the living beings so that they can serve this purpose. The mercantile class is meant for producing food grains and distributing them to the complete human society so that the whole population is given a chance to live comfortably and discharge the duties of human life. The mercantile class is also required to give protection to the cows in order to get sufficient milk and milk products, which alone can give the proper health and intelligence to maintain a civilization perfectly meant for knowledge of the ultimate truth. And the laborer class, who are neither intelligent nor powerful, can help by physical services to the other higher classes and thus be benefited by their cooperation. Therefore, the universe is a complete unit in relationship with the Lord, and without this relationship with the Lord, the whole human society is disturbed and is without any peace and prosperity. This is confirmed in the Vedas. Brahmano syamukam asid bahu rajanya kritaha.
Thank you, Sumitavi. So, in speaking about seeing Krishna within all his energies, Srimad Bhagavatam is giving us another way to see Krishna in the sense of the work being done in this world, or the natures of people, can also be seen as part of Krishna, or as Krishna's energy. So as mentioned before, Srimad Bhagavatam is over and over in giving us ways to see Krishna through any way, shape or form. Just try to see Krishna. So, for instance, I was on vacation for the last 10 days, and my association with devotees was very, very limited, right? I was around my family and stuff like that, but unfortunately sometimes we don't see our family as devotees like that, in that sense. Of course they are devotees, I'm not trying to disrespect, but I'm just saying. But anyways, point being, I was in Oregon, and Oregon is very beautiful. Anybody been to Oregon or the Northwest, Seattle, or no? Been to? It's very, very beautiful, very green, mountains. We went to the coast where the ocean, in Oregon, we call it the coast. We don't call it the beach, because when you go to the beach, you think of California and sunny, and in Oregon, it's the coast because it's cold, usually around 60 degrees, 50 degrees. But this was very nice at this time of the year because it's about 70 degrees. And so, in the attempt to try to see Krishna, our acharyas in Srimad Bhagavatam are giving us different ways to see Krishna. So, in a sense, I could have the opportunity to associate with Krishna through the beauty of the nature, through the ocean, and watching the kids swim in the ocean, to the beautiful trees, to the birds, all kinds of ways to see Krishna. So, in society, their work must be done. This material world is designed in such a way that we must work. But if we follow Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna's instructions, we can understand that that work is done in a way that can bring us up to the ultimate truth. And the system is called Varna and Ashram. The four Varnas being the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Sudras. These different qualities of work come with different types of works. So the Brahmanas are known as the intelligent class. So can anybody give examples of what the work of a Brahmana would be? A teacher, right? Did you ever go through school? You guys that went to public school, maybe didn't grow up and ever look as your teacher as a Brahmana? I know I went to public schools, and I never looked as my teacher as Brahmins, but they're Brahmins. It's an occupation. What else? What other engagement might a Brahmin be in? A pujari, yeah. So a pujari is engaged in worship of the deity, and they wear a Brahmin thread and go through different mantras to purify themselves and then engage in the devotional service of the Lord. Any other? Yes, Drista. A question about what? Go ahead. We have a question about brahmanas.
So you were talking about like what are the occupations of a brahmana, and I get a little confused sometimes. Like sometimes it seems like there's like the spiritual version of brahmana, and then there's like the material version of brahmana.
Mm.
So for example, like there's quotes like everyone should become Brahmin, and Brahman means one who knows Brahman, one who knows spiritual life.
Mm.
So technically it's kind of like, oh, everyone should know spiritual life, everyone should know Brahman, everyone should know what is matter and what is spirit. But then there's also the side of like, oh, like you're born with a certain propensity, you're born with a certain thing, and you know, Brahmins, they're just the intellectual people.
Mm.
It doesn't necessarily mean that they're more spiritual.
Mm.
So it's kind of like a little bit confusing in that. Yeah, it seems like, you know, you have your nature and you are that nature, but it's also like, oh, you should become a Brahmin.
Mm. So, this is a very nice question. It fits into the Srimad Bhagavatam as we were speaking about, that all energies are meant to be used in Krishna's service. So, to be a Brahmana, you might have certain natures and stuff, but it is all for naught if it isn't engaged for the purpose of pleasing Krishna. So yes, there's some people with that their natures is to teach or to educate or to be this educational type of you can see it, professors, they're very on the mental platform. But it really has no benefit for them if it's not engaged in serving Krishna. So I hear where you're coming from is that people are born with certain propensities, and that's good. That will give us some direction about how we can serve Krishna. But that doesn't mean we're limited to only that. A devotee of Krishna is engaging everything, every energy, everything in Krishna's service. So they can be a Brahmana, they can be a Kshatriya, they can be a Sudra, whatever, and they can go on. However, it is nice to understand your natures and what's those things that are pleasing to your heart in your engagement. Because when we start to see those, then we start to serve Krishna in those ways, and we can see how that reciprocation of Krishna is with Krishna in that service is making us happy and is pleasing Krishna. Dina?
So people who are like working as like scientists or researchers or philosophers or professors, are we not considering them Brahmin class but just because they're not spiritual? Or would they still be considered the Brahmin class because they're like dictating knowledge and like the educational sphere and all of that? Would they still be considered Brahmanas like in terms of like varnashram, or are we not considering them Brahmins?
For their varna, yes. They are, you can see that their nature, their propensity is for Brahminical qualities or these qualities of knowledge. However, when we speak of varna in a spiritual situation, we're talking about the characteristics and how somebody acts. And those characteristics come with compassion, care, ahimsa, non-violence. So in a spiritual sense, what I'm trying to say is, what I am saying is that the nature of somebody might be of Brahmin qualities. They naturally flow towards those activities which would be considered Brahminical. But Varna Ashram Dharma is meant to understand our nature, to understand what our propensities are, and to start to engage them in Krishna service. So we can call it this, we can call it that, we can say they're Brahmanic quality, but Varna Ashram Dharma is meant to help somebody come up to the platform of Krishna consciousness. So we can look at natures in the sense of goodness, passion, and ignorance, these three types of modes of material nature, see that the Brahmanas are more in the mode of goodness, and they're starting to direct or to gravitate towards these kind of qualities. But the point of Varnashram Dharma is to engage somebody in their propensity in elevating the self into a transcendental life. Yes, go ahead.
In terms of like society, though, would we consider those people brahmanas, or would we not consider them brahmanas?
We can say
Like,
say
I'm just wondering, like normal society, or even stuff like being like a brahmana by, like, let's say, like, hypothetically, like a professor or somebody would be
Mhm.
considered a brahmana. That doesn't mean that they have brahminical qualities necessarily.
mm,
Somebody who might be like a shudra or like a vaishya might have more brahminical qualities.
mm,
So I think it like leads back to just this question. It seems like there's two different definitions of what a brahmana is. Somebody who knows Brahman and who has brahminical qualities,
mm.
or somebody who has intellectual propensities,
Mhm.
or somebody who like has some sort of like status in like the academic world or something like that.
Yeah, go ahead, Janaki.
I can't remember exactly where, but I believe that Srila Prabhupada one time said that basically everybody in Kali Yuga are Shudras.
Mm.
It's like the higher classes don't really exist because
Mm.
everything is so mixed up. And we can see like the qualities of a Shudra is that can't trust them with money or like really freedom. And you
Mm.
see that within everybody. It's like you can have any kind of job, but what do you spend your money on? Are you using your intelligence to spend your money on something that's worth your human life?
Mm.
Or any kind of like spiritual realization? So in today's age, or like Kali Yuga, it doesn't really matter what job you have, and you might have different characteristics that point you in one direction, but generally speaking, everybody is just in Kali Yuga degraded so much that we're kind of all on the same platform. And we're
Mm.
just trying to get to the point of the Brahminical culture is not that you have to do the work of a Brahmin, but you have to come to the mode of goodness in order to get transcendental knowledge.
Yeah. Yes. The Brahminical qualities in spiritual life, like Janaki said, is in the mode of goodness. Is our sadhana regular? Are we demonstrating the qualities of a Brahman in the sense of our compassion, anyways, in Bhagavad Gita it goes through so many qualities of the mode of goodness, right? But what I would like to I don't want to just gloss over the fact that each one of you has a nature, propensities, activities that are attractive to you. And those can be engaged in Krishna service. Some of us are going to be more heady or more knowledge-based, and we will direct more towards Brahminical type activities in that sense. Some of us will be more of administrators, Kshatriyas. We want to, control something or some sense of developing programs or this or that. And then Vaishyas, you have some propensity to make money, right? You want to engage in making some money. And then Sudras, like, look, I just want to do my work. I want my 9 to 5. Let me do my 9 to 5, and then I can go do my, do whatever. So even the Sudra who does their 9 to 5 can still have their sadhana. They can develop their Brahminical qualities of sadhana in the morning, and then afternoons engaging in devotional service. So there are two parts of Brahminical culture or of this. Is are you engaging Brahminical qualities in your spiritual life? But then also we're talking about nature in general here, in that what is your propensity? What's your what are you gravitating towards in your work? Is that okay? What are your thoughts? Yes, Drista.
Yeah, thank you for your point. I've been curious for a long time, like for example, I know some devotees and they're like, for example, like someone's a Vaishya and they take Brahman initiation, or
Mhm.
they're a Shudra and they take Brahman initiation, and I was always kind of wondering, like, does that mean that you change your nature, or what does it mean to become a Brahmana when your nature is really and then it's like, okay, well then what does Brahmana mean? Does that mean in the sense of one who knows Brahman or one who's like intellectually inclined. So
Mhm.
you've helped me like get more understanding on it. But also, if you have any other thoughts on, just like Brahman initiation, does that mean that you become Brahminical propensity, or does that mean
It
something
means that
else?
you, in ISKCON, or in, not just ISKCON, but in Vedic tradition, in Vedic tradition we didn't have second initiation even, right? But okay, in ISKCON, let's just talk about ISKCON. We have a first initiation, and first initiation is called Harinam Diksha. So the guru, the spiritual master, is engaging you in chanting Hare Krishna. By chanting Hare Krishna, we start to purify ourselves, and we start to take on qualities of higher qualities. The things that are not wanted, are not good for our spiritual life, we start to see them, and we just start to say, you know what, you're not so good for my spiritual life. Actually, I'm going to go this way. And the more and more we do that, develop the separation of the things that are not good for our spiritual life and what is good for our spiritual life, Brahminical qualities start to arise, the mode of goodness. So then in ISKCON, when you take second initiation, it means that you have an understanding of the scriptures that Srila Prabhupada has given us. You've shown from your first initiation that you're going to continue to chant your 16 rounds. You're going to follow the 4 regular principles. I've heard once that first initiation is kind of like a test. Can you do this? Are you really going to chant your 16 rounds? Are you really going to follow the 4 regular principles? And then, once you've demonstrated that you are fixed in those, and then and understanding the scriptures to a certain degree, then the guru gives you second initiation. But the point is that Brahman initiation in ISKCON is the development of a characteristic of the mode of goodness. I regularly do my rounds. I regularly do my service. I regularly engage in some kind of devotional service. I regularly engage in reading Srila Prabhupada's books, and shown a sense of regularity that is purifying you to become to start to develop your transcendental nature. So that's the Brahminical quality in the sense of second initiation. I've cleansed myself enough that I'm able to take on further devotional service. I've heard it also said by many times that in ISKCON it's not even necessary to take Brahman initiation if you're not going to engage in service in pujari work or devotional service to the deities and stuff. Anyways, the point being is that you've started to demonstrate the qualities in your character of Brahminical qualities, and therefore you become eligible to take Brahman initiation. However, that doesn't the sweetness of Krishna consciousness is that we can be ourselves. We don't have to try to be something different. So when we be ourselves, when we understand the work that is attractive to us, the work that engages us and makes us alive, enlivens us, then we can start to engage that in Krishna service. And therefore we can understand that work comes with different qualities. The thing about a devotee, though, is Srila Prabhupada once said that a devotee is good at everything, but they're expert in one thing. So the devotee is able to jump from these different ashrams, different varnas. But that doesn't mean that you don't have a propensity, something that you're attracted to, something that, as you say, jives with you. You know? And the thing about chanting Hare Krishna is we start to understand those things that do give us enthusiasm, those things that do enliven us. And then develop, by chanting Hare Krishna, we start to engage those in Krishna service. Instead of, at first, before we chant Hare Krishna, the service that we're doing, I hope I'm not breaking this to anyone, is really you're doing it for yourself. Even when we come to Krishna consciousness and we're doing things, a lot of it is for ourselves. Is there some kind of identity we're placing into it? I'm getting some kind of happiness from this. I'm getting some kind of gratification on this. But by chanting Hare Krishna nicely, we start to less and less think about that service as part of us, and we start to see it more and more as service to Krishna. Is there any questions, comments, thoughts? Go ahead, Janaki.
I have just a comment too about taking Brahman initiation doesn't mean that your nature changes or
Mhm.
your qualities change. And I was thinking that the Brahmins, their main quality is that they work based on intelligence. And we know that real intelligence means spiritual intelligence or spiritual knowledge. So it doesn't matter how much you know or if you work and you're studying or you're a philosopher or anything like that. If you actually have intelligence, then Prabhupada says the only intelligence is service to Krishna. As devotees, our nature does change because we've been given the knowledge that of devotional service. And so in that way, it doesn't matter necessarily what externally work that we do, but if we're doing it in knowledge that we're doing devotional service, then automatically it's brahminical. And so externally it doesn't matter. That Brahman initiation is what is the purpose is that you are doing devotional service. Devotional service is the center of your life, and that's true intelligence.
Devotional service transcends the Varna, right? Transcends Brahman, these activities, right? And that's our focus as devotees, is that what can I do with what Krishna is giving me? How can I gauge that in Krishna's service? And it becomes transcendental. Any thoughts, questions, comments? At first, when we're chanting Hare Krishna, because of our past impressions and the development of who we think we are, we're often binded. We're like in a knot. We can't see clearly what our service is or what we should do or how we should act. But through chanting Hare Krishna, we start to become untangled, and those knots start to loosen, and we start to clearly see about the things that are activities and how to use those in Krishna service. And those things that aren't helping us in devotional service, we start to put off to the side. So the speaking of the Varna can help in a sense of, oh, what am I attracted to? What kind of services I can do? And then engage those in Krishna's service. We start to see more clearly our relationship with Krishna. We get to see, oh, is that really who I am? Is that really my identity? Is that really something that pleases Krishna? And things become clearer and clearer and clearer. And so many other things I was thinking about talking about, in a sense. Jose, any questions, thoughts? What are your thoughts?
I was trying to reflect on my life and see what's my nature. Yeah, that's a question that will go on this week. But yeah, it's very interesting. I saw that before in, I believe, Bhagavad Gita as well.
When you ask yourself, what is your nature? What are some of the things that come up?
I don't know. I mean, it's I always worked in a way that it was just like putting giving my hands, my strength,
Mm.
like so that I suppose it's a sutra.
Mm.
So I always worked in that way, but at the same time I've been also um, being in this spiritual life for a time, and I don't know if that makes me a kind of a brahmana,
Mm.
or I don't know.
Mm.
So that is I've been seeking like this information for a long time, and
Mm.
I don't know.
This is a perfect example. We can see that we have some tendencies,
Right.
but we're not sure. It's unclear. It's foggy. And by chanting Hare Krishna, the fog starts to dissipate, and we can see more clearly what is our nature and what's the activities we do for Krishna. I remember probably about 12 to 13 years ago, my spiritual master was giving a class on Varna ashram and stuff, and I asked him afterwards. I said, Maharaj, can you please tell me what is my nature? And I was expecting something like Brahmana, Kshatriya. Or, I wasn't expecting those. I was expecting something from the Varna. He laughed at me, and he says, you're a coach. You're a baseball coach. And I was like, whoa, what does that mean? Like a baseball coach? What and I started to try to fit it into, this and this and this. But from that instruction, I've seen throughout my life that how my nature is in that way. I have some Brahminical qualities of coaching, of teaching and stuff, but yet I have some Kshatriya qualities in the sense of engaging in administration and these things. But then also, I play sports. There's a Sudra quality into playing sports, right? I just want to throw a football around. I just want to play, what are the rules? How are we playing? What team am I on? So the thing is that my point being is that when he said a coach, it wasn't one thing. It wasn't one Brahmin. It wasn't Kshatriya. It's not one thing. It's a mixture of different things. And so my point being is that when we chant Hare Krishna, we'll start to see the mix. It's not so much a category of just Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. We'll start to see that what is our qualities and what is the work that we're attracted to. And then we become more and more engaged in it, more and it becomes purified. And we start to see clearly that fog dissipate. And so it's part of the process. At first, when we enter in devotional service, we're trying to find our identity. Who am I in this situation? What is my job in my community? Even in Krishna house, who am I? What is my, what is the things people are expecting from me and stuff like that. But then over time, you start to see where you fit in, where things, what your service is, and it starts to become more, okay, I have my service, and then you start to purify it more, right? It's the same thing quite often over and over and over and over and over and over, but the spiritual part of it is that even though it's over and over and over, the quality of that work is getting deeper and deeper and deeper, deeper and deeper, and then when it gets deeper and deeper, your connection with Krishna gets deeper. Yes, Dina.
I was just thinking about, I don't know if that's something you're supposed to say, but I think looking into what your caste is it's almost like a black hole,
Yeah.
Because there's so many different things that it could be. Because some places it says that it's what your parents did, or it's what your background is. So my dad's a banker, so then it would be okay, so that makes you a Vaishya, But then I know that there's the first grain ceremony, and then that some devotees do. So then they'll put out 4 different items. Then they'll get the baby to crawl to one. And then they'll be oh, that's what their propensity is. So then it's okay, now you need to take into consideration, okay, where did the baby crawl? What is the baby's parents' occupation? And then there's another one, it's astrologically, what is your moon placed in, what water sign, earth sign, whatever. Okay, there's that too. There's so many different things. And then the person's actual inclinations. And then on top of that, there's so many different factors of trying to find out what your varna is. But at the end of the day, you're gonna end up doing the service that's just that you're meant to do. It's kind of that dharma. You're just gonna end up doing your dharma eventually. And if you're not doing your dharma, then you're gonna get upset probably. not upset, but you're not going to be like unhappy. So, like, it's almost, I don't know if I should say this, but like, it's almost not worth it to like over analyze, like, oh my gosh, what Varna am I? Oh my God, like, is it important? Like, yeah, because if you're doing something in Krishna's service, it doesn't matter if it's like a Kshatriya propensity, if it's a Vaishya propensity, because it can kind of get in your head. I know there's like so much like sort of stigma around being like a Shudra, because like it'll say in places like, oh, Shudras shouldn't have rights or whatever, and you're like, oh my God, I like art, you know, like I should be a Shudra, but it's not that serious.
I actually agree with you that it becomes quite an impediment sometimes in devotional service. Is that we it becomes a distraction, right? And the thing is about Krishna consciousness is if we continue to be conscious of Krishna, Krishna is a person and he will take care of us. He will start to make it clear. He will start to dissipate that fog. So really, like, but that doesn't mean that it's not that it's taboo to think about, you know, what your service and stuff. Yes, but don't become overly in anxiety about it, because that's part of the process. It is part of becoming Krishna consciousness. Is the quality of work you're doing is becoming more and more for Krishna, and Krishna starts to arrange things to, you know, so that you can smile more. That's the job. That's the ultimate goal, is to smile more. Just kidding, kind of. Yes, Janaki.
I have a question on that point.
Yes.
Is that in Bhagavad Gita, at one point Krishna says that you should know your nature and you should do your duty even if it's imperfectly. You should stick to the nature of your work. And so how do we understand that we should know our nature and be aware of our nature and try to do whatever it is that is our dharma without being analytical?
Well, your question is, how do we get to know our nature without being too analytical about it? Is that what the question is?
Because I heard it sounded like it's not worth analyzing too much or thinking about too much. But if you don't know what it is it worth analyzing so that you can do your duty even if it's imperfect?
Well,
I think you inherently know, right? Like, just deep down, like, from like the time we were kind of like young, you kind of like have certain inclinations. It's just a matter of like, if you're willing to like accept them or not. And I think the overly analytical stuff can kind of like impede you sometimes. It's like the same way, like, I mean, I'm just gonna share, like, I remember I really used to like playing the cello when I was younger. But then my parents were like, oh no, don't do that. That's like, art is not important, or like music is not important. You should do science instead. But then I ended up stopped doing science because that's not my nature. But like, part of you just kind of knows what it is. And that's why so many people go on these like journeys of self-discovery, and so many people, they go back to school after like so many decades. It's because they really like know what they want to do. I remember my mom was telling me she went to school for like communication or like travel or something like that. And then, but she always like, she really liked working with plants and stuff. And then she went back to school when she was 40, and she ended up doing the thing that she actually really enjoyed doing. But like, you can get really in your head if you're trying to be like, you're trying to be something that you're not. And I think that a lot of like overly looking into like what your varna is can kind of get in your head, because there's this hierarchy. It's like Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. If you have Shudra tendencies, you're going to try to like counteract them, even if it is your nature. So like, you should know, but like, I've seen so many people, it just kind of like blocks them in terms of like doing what they're actually supposed to, because they're kind of in denial. They're like, oh, like I want to be Brahminical. I want to be the Brahmin. I want to be the Kshatriya, you know? I don't want to be like, I don't know, a laborer. I don't want to be a banker. I don't want to be something like that. Yeah. I mean, his guru told him that. Yeah, I don't know. No opinion on that.
What's that?
Your guru told you that. I have no opinion.
No, absolutely. The thing is that to know your nature isn't like right now you should know it. It's going to be a learning process. That's the point of Krishna consciousness. Is it's okay. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a judge. And when he would listen to court cases, within the first 5 minutes, he would write something down and put it off to the side. And so his deputy once asked him, what are you writing down there and putting off the side? He says, well, I'm writing my verdict. And he says, well, why do you write down the verdict and you know in the first 5 minutes, but then you still listen to them for days or whatever, and go you listen to them for days and hear them out. And he's because the process is important. So somebody can tell, my guru said, you're a baseball coach. That's not good enough in the sense of just somebody telling me. Now, of course, I don't want to downplay that in the sense of that, spiritual master is. The point is I had to hear it, and I had to start to apply it in my life, and go through the process where it meant something to me. So it becomes realized knowledge. So the point of Bhaktivinoda Thakur is he could, in the first minute, he could say, "You're guilty. This is the verdict," but nobody would accept it. So you have to go through the process of Krishna consciousness to start for that fog to separate and to get that clarity. And that's it. And the more as the devotees we actually, how should I say this, embrace that process, the more dynamic and fun it actually gets. Instead of the anxiety of, I don't know, it becomes, I'm learning. Krishna's helping me learn. He's giving me lessons. He's bringing, everything starts to become part of your Krishna consciousness, because it's not a problem anymore, or this thing. Oh, this is is actually sent by Krishna to give me an opportunity to get more clear. And then it goes like this quite often, right? We'll have something happens and we're like distraught and everything's not clear. We take a breath, chant Hare Krishna, sometimes over an hour, sometimes a half a day, sometimes a week. But eventually, all of a sudden, you get that aha moment and go, okay, I understand what you want from me, Krishna. I get it now. And this is actually Brahma. Brahma actually comes to the ocean, and he starts to pray to Krishna. Please give me the answers. And he sits there patiently saying Om, and all of a sudden, in the heart, Krishna gives him the intelligence. So similarly, we're doing the same thing. We're chanting Hare. So similarly, we're doing the same thing by chanting Hare Krishna. We're saying, okay, I'm not going to get stuck on the anxiety of what is, what isn't. This. I'm not going to use my mental capacity to figure this out. I'm going to surrender to Krishna for him to give me the knowledge to move forward. And he will. It'll be foggy. We chant Hare Krishna. We start to say, okay, I could, you talk to somebody and all of a sudden they say something. You're like, oh my gosh, that's the answer that I was looking for. Or little pieces of the puzzle start to work together. You're reading Srila Prabhupada's book. He's giving you a little part. And so, yeah, this is all Krishna. This is, as devotees, we're not seeing this as coincidences. We're not seeing it as what is it? The bird, flies to south because of its, what do they call it? Intuition or whatever. No, we don't believe in that. We believe that Krishna is in the heart, directing us, bringing everything into our life to give us an opportunity to go back home, back to Godhead. I'm sorry, I've gone over 9 minutes. I apologize. I've made up for lost time being gone for last week. I hope that's okay. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Pramanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you.